welcome to In Conversation With. Today in conversation with the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Sheldon Keefe, who of course has a interesting history with the Pembroke Lumber Kings, where he led the team to 5 consecutive championships and a Junior A title. Sheldon, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
It's great to see you again, and I'm sure you would rather not be sitting in your living room having this conversation. You'd rather be coaching the Toronto Maple Leafs, but these are unprecedented times. So how have you been keeping yourself busy since the pandemic started?
Well, it certainly is unprecedented times, Jamie, but there's lots to keep me busy, despite the fact that we're staying at home here and listening to our health officials and what's appropriate at this time and doing our part. But first of all, I've got a young family, 2 young boys that are keeping me busy, everything from school teacher to referee at this point. And that's been actually one of the highlights of all of this, is spending extra time at home, which I normally wouldn't get to. And, being here morning till night, and now, coming up on about 7 weeks, I guess it is, consistently doing that, which is really great. And as I've said to a couple of people, that one of the nice things for me is that I have my oldest son in particular, when I put him to bed at night, one of the things I most frequently hear is, will you be here tomorrow? Because quite often, with the nature of our schedule, I'm not here the next day when he wakes up. And I haven't had that question at all. So that's been one of the positives. I'm staying busy. There's lots of work to do for us as a staff in analyzing video, communicating with our players and our staff, and trying to look for ways to get better despite the circumstances.
I wanted to talk more about the impact of the pandemic on you and on the hockey team and on the National Hockey League for that matter. But before we get to there, boy, when you look back at your life, 2020 is going to be one incredible story. Who could have predicted the pandemic after you first had the opportunity to be the head coach of the most storied franchise in the National Hockey League? So let's go back to November. How did you find out that you were going to be the new head coach of the Leafs after coaching the Toronto Marlies?
Well, I had some very preliminary discussion with people in the organization, letting me know that there were some decisions that were going to be made, and there were some discussions happening internally. And ultimately, then I ended up getting a call. It was actually on a game day for us with the Marlies, and we were preparing for a game. We had a morning skate that day. We were preparing our team to play. I believe we had a game against the Laval Rocket that night, and had gotten a call just before going on the ice that day that things may be moving forward, and just kind of stay tuned. And timing, of course, was the big question. There's a lot of things that were happening within the organization before such a decision was made or communicated. So I was kind of sitting tight, but then ultimately got the call and let me know that I needed to get home and get prepared and get myself and my family organized to get out to Arizona to join the team.
And Arizona was special. That's where your wife Jackie is from. So it was a great place to get your National Hockey League career started. But I can't imagine, I know that you knew that this was a possibility. You were coaching the AHL team, the Marlies, and the Leafs were struggling at the time that you were hired. But it's still, you must just kind of have to pinch yourself. And I'm about to be the coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Well, certainly so. Despite being in the organization, I mean, I had developed a relationship with Mike Babcock and developed great confidence in the organization's ability to continue to take steps. So, and I was a part of that. I considered myself a part of that. I had to prepare the prospects at the AHL level to play at in the NHL, and the more success that the players had in that transition, was a testament to what we were doing with the Marlies. So I considered myself a part of the program and part of the process, and I believed that it was going to continue to take steps. So I always thought that, if I was going to take a step in my own career, it was likely going to. That said, I was completely satisfied and happy with my development and the situation I had with the AHL's Marlies, because it really is certainly the best job outside of the NHL, and I was very grateful for a chance to coach there. But I was looking at a lot of things outside the organization, what was happening, and had some opportunities to interview with different clubs and talk to them. That's more what my focus was on. But opportunities don't come very often, and when the call came, of course, felt for the situation and the relationship I had developed with Mike Babcock, but was grateful for the opportunity and the confidence they showed in me to step in and try to take us to where we believe we can get to.
There's a great little piece of video, and I think it was John Tavares who threw you a puck after that first win, and you kind of bobbled it a little bit, but a good left hand made the catch. That must have been a pretty cool moment in the dressing room.
Push each other. We get better tomorrow. Coach?
Woo! Oh, yeah, I got the hands, Phil. Thanks, fellas. Thank you.
Yeah, it was very much so. It was, unexpected, frankly. I had gone in there with the intention of celebrating the win and trying to capture the fact that we had some really cool moments that happened throughout the game, and the joy amongst the room and the team was really cool to see. And just seeing right on the bench through that game, it was a team that had been through some very tough times and was trying to find its way back on track. And it was a great win again in Arizona. Special for me in my first game. Austin Matthews, of course, being from Arizona, anytime he goes back, that's a great moment for him. And just so many cool things that happened on that day. And to have John and the team think of me in that at that time was great to see, and it speaks to the character and the leadership of our team.
There's always a honeymoon for a new coach. You got off to a great start with a lot of wins. It's been tougher since that. And when the NHL shutdown came through on March 12th, you had your team in a playoff position, but with 12 games left, still a lot of work to do. It's a grind, isn't it? How is it different with all of the levels you've coached at? Junior A, Major Junior A, American Hockey League, now the NHL. What's the big thing that is so different about getting to that level?
Well, I would say the biggest thing is the parity. There's the difference between the elite teams and the non-playoff teams is not as great as you might think, or as what even the standings might suggest in some cases. And frankly, when you look at the standings, even the playoff bubble teams to the top teams in the league, there's not a great disparity there. So the separation is small. So when you get momentum and you get rolling and you're confident and things are good, you can become difficult to stop. But when it doesn't happen positively for you and it goes the other way, it can be difficult to stop it, because the teams are just they don't stop. It's relentless. The caliber of play and the caliber of the talent of the opponents that you're facing night in and night out, and the schedule itself is relentless. It really is. I think in February, I think we played basically more than every second day, I think, the month of February. And that makes it really tough, because if things aren't going well, you don't have practice days, you don't have recovery days. You're basically traveling to the next city and getting ready to play again for a new opponent virtually the next day. So that is challenging. I mean, it's tough. And then you add in, of course, the media and the stuff that comes with it. And, it's difficult to stop momentum one way or another. So staying even keel, I knew getting into this job was going to be a very important thing. It's very challenging to do that, but that is, I think, the number one thing, in particular in our market, is to just stay level-headed and focus on each day as it comes.
I want to take you back to your Pembroke days. Obviously, you were a very young man, uncertain about your future, the knee injury that really put an end to your playing career. You had bought the Lumber Kings already, and then you went behind the bench, and you won 5 consecutive titles, and then Pembroke's only national junior A title. It was really nice of you to invite some of those billets and hockey operations people to a game when the Leafs played the Ottawa Senators, and that was an important night for you too. What a great suit you had on. I understand your wife had something to do with that. So can you talk a little bit about how that night came to be and how special that was for you?
Yeah, well, thanks for asking, because it really was a very special night. You get on this journey as a coach, or as any professional, as you're trying to advance your career and all those things. And each step of the way, for myself, of course, it started in Pembroke, and I owned the Lumber Kings there for 10 years, and I coached it for a better part of 7 years before moving on to Sault Ste. Marie. as you move along in that journey, for me, the first step was going to the OHL with the Sioux Greyhounds, and right away, you just think of the fact that you've been through so much, and so many different people in the community in Pembroke that contributed to the Lumber Kings, and thus my success and my ability to advance my career and take care of my family and all of these things. Forever indebted to the community and the people that gave up their time and their money, their support and their love for the team. It was so special a time, such a special time for myself and my family. Like my boys were both born there in Pembroke. We forever have ties and connections there. It's where really it all started. And every step of the way, I always thought about those people, and I never really considered myself a guy that was going to coach in the NHL. I was perfectly satisfied to coach and live in Pembroke for the rest of our lives. That was really the intent when we started, is to put down some roots, have some control over our lives, and things that you don't necessarily have as a professional athlete. For me, as a player, I lived in 7 cities in 4 different years of pro hockey. I wanted to be able to settle down and be more in control of things, but the more success the organization had, which is as much or more a credit to those people and the things that allow you to do what you do, you recognize that, how important that is, and you're forever indebted to it, as I said. So, as I got to the AHL and then started having success there, you start to feel like, well, just maybe there is a chance I can coach in the NHL. And every time I thought about that, I thought about Pembroke, and I thought about the people that contributed to giving me a chance, or I would have never even got off the ground in coaching. So I always just felt that if I could ever have a chance to coach in the NHL, I would in some way want to involve as many people as I could. And we talked about a number of different things that would work to include everyone, and then ultimately settled on the game in Ottawa. And I was very grateful for how it came together. It was so wonderful to be able to share that moment with people.
And the jacket was really neat. Talk about it.
Well, the jacket was, my wife was there with me, Jackie, when we were getting a couple suits designed after I got the job, and we had talked about kind of well, actually, the tailor had suggested a Marley's jacket and getting some Marley stuff put in, and then my wife had sort of suggested, well, if you're going to do that, we may as well kind of make it the Journey jacket and have all the logos, and then so a chance to have the Lumber Kings logo, the crown, which is brings a smile to my face every time I see that crown. Is special to have that involved, and we included the Sioux Greyhounds logo as well. And it was the first suit that I purchased in getting the job, and I hadn't worn it until that night. I was saving it for that night, so it was pretty cool, and we got a win with it too, which is even better, because I don't consider myself a superstitious guy necessarily, but it's never good to start off a new suit with a loss.
Well, you got to win. I'm sure that might, if there is a playoffs and the Leafs are in them, maybe it'll be time to bring that jacket out again for sure. I want to just go back again in time to that Lumber Kings National Championship in the spring of 2011. The 2021 Central Canada Hockey League year campaign will be the 10th anniversary of that. And certainly you're right, that national championship probably did so much to elevate your career and get you really a lot more attention from Hockey Canada and other major junior teams, as well as pro teams as well. That is a memory I'm sure that you will carry for the rest of your life, because it was so special, not only for yourself, but the people of Pembroke and, of course, the players.
Yeah, it certainly was. Just the whole story. I've told the story before. Just the memories of those seasons, and just the dates. I mean, my first son Landon was born on the opening day of training camp, August 20th, 2010, for that particular season, and then my second son was born on the 1-year anniversary, May 8th, 2012, the 1-year anniversary of that national championship. So those 2 dates will be with us forever. And in fact, I can never forget the date of May 8th, of course, because my son is, for weeks on end, is reminding me I need to celebrate that and get him some presents and celebrate in that way. But the whole year itself was so special. I mean, just the chase for 5 straight championships, first of all, was was incredible. And Ben Reinhardt was wrapping up his fifth and final season, and what a remarkable junior hockey career. I mean, unprecedented and likely never to be duplicated. To win in all 4 years and to go out as a champion, and the image of him ultimately hoisting, hoisting the trophy over his head, and a Valley boy and true Lumber King, just so special. And that did open doors for me. And then it was also the moment that had me thinking, maybe there is a little bit more out there for me. We've sort of checked a lot of boxes here and been able to bring a national championship. And I did have exposure, as you mentioned, to Hockey Canada and the different events associated with Hockey Canada and junior A hockey, and was starting to sort of get my foot in the door with other levels of hockey, was learning a lot. But, I mean, there's so many moments that contribute to your journey, and that was a very big one and a very memorable one.
You know how special junior hockey is for players. You won an Ontario Hockey League championship with the Barrie Colts. You played in a Memorial Cup. You won as a coach at the junior A level. You won a national championship at the junior A level. And then there's this year, particularly for graduating players. All of the junior A leagues and the major junior A leagues have been shut down. You have to feel for those players. What's your reaction to that, having been a junior player and remembering you have a shelf life? At 20, you can't play junior anymore.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Jamie. I did, once the junior league started to get canceled, and the CHL and major junior, and then the junior A leagues, and then you see in the colleges and the university sports, there is a shelf life, as you said, and you can't get those years back. Your time expires. And especially at that age, they're young people, and those years are so important to them, and they give so much to that time. They create such bonds with their friends and their teammates and their communities. To have it end so abruptly, I really felt for all those people, and not just hockey, various sports. When you look at the collegiate and university sports, in the Olympics, then ultimately, all these people that give so many things, so much to their craft, and have it end abruptly like that was very difficult. And I mean, what the world is going through right now, there's a never-ending list of people that you certainly would feel for that had a connection to that. And we're fortunate at the NHL level that there is at least an opportunity for us to come back and resume, and those discussions are being had, and if the health officials deem it safe to do so, we will get back to playing. So we have that, but the various sports and junior hockey where players' time expires, you can't get that back. What the players and the coaches and the communities give to those teams that wanted the chance to compete in the playoffs and finish with their teammates and have the experience of having their final day, their final game. I can remember on all those playoff runs, that we had with the Lumber Kings, you would always talk about those moments, and try to rally the group. Anytime you were facing elimination, or in our case, when you're playing on the final day of the national championship, it's your final day, and you get to experience that with your teammates and your families and your friends and all of that. And those players didn't get that moment this year, and you certainly feel that and add that to the list of difficult things that people are going through right now.
Sheldon, I wanted just to expand on that a little bit. You were also an owner of a junior A club. Now, mind you, a junior A club that had tremendous fan support and community support. Not all junior A teams have that. This has to be very, very difficult for junior A owners as well.
Yeah, no doubt, Jamie, and I did think of that as well. I caught the conversation that you had with Kevin Abrams, and he shed some light on that and the impact of that. And we're feeling even, at the NHL level, the impact, the financial impact that not playing games and not having fans and those types of things would have. But again, going back to the junior A level, that the impact that it has, and the financial model is significantly different than when I was an owner there, and I know that they've really worked to make the league and the franchises more stable financially by having the families contribute a lot more, and that I'm sure would certainly help. However, the playoffs are a very significant opportunity for owners to be able to continue with the health of their franchise, and in some cases make a living at it. And certainly in my situation, we had to do very well in the playoffs for myself and my family to make it viable. So I feel for that as well along the same time, and I really hope that teams will be able to survive and recover from these situations. And I know that the league in particular is in very good hands with Kevin Abrams and the work that he's done with the league to make it more financially stable. Just as an outsider, the people that I've talked to is pretty remarkable for where that league has come from. It really is the model of success for junior hockey in the country, I believe. And if anyone can find a way to make it recover, it will be him. But no doubt, it will be the losses will be felt.
You've told me before that you still monitor the Lumber Kings. You watch how they're doing. Do you do that with the Greyhounds too? Do you do that with all of the teams you've coached before?
Yeah, I do. I try to keep up as much as I can and follow the progress. It's been a little more difficult the busier that you get, and also now that less and less people that you work directly with are as involved with both teams. Not as many relationships there, but certainly I follow along on the internet and social media being what it is. You get a chance to peek in every now and again and see what's happening. And I find that it's not just me. I find that so many players, right? Even the players on our team, the John Tavareses and of the world, Mitch Marners, they're following what's going on with their former clubs, and it's part of your journey. It's part of your past, and you're always wishing everybody the best.
We don't have a lot of time left, so just to wrap it up with this, the National Hockey League appears to be determined, like most professional sports, to find a way to finish the 2019-2020 season. If that does happen, what's it going to take to be ready to go? How do you get your players in the spot that they need to be successful?
Well, I think the first thing is that we would have to recognize that they're going to need time. The hockey in particular is a very unique sport, and that it requires being on the ice. So the guys are training and doing their thing off the ice, and our strength and conditioning staff and medical staff has done a terrific job in implementing very specific programs for each player, depending on what they have available to them for both space and equipment at their homes where they're spending their time during this pandemic. And but the reality is they're going to have to get on the ice and get back conditioned, and skating is a whole different ball game in terms of the muscles and the strains that it puts on the body, and then you add in the contact is a whole other thing. So it's going to take time, but in the conversations that I've been privy to, and just reading in the different media reports and the communications that we have within our organization, is that they've been mindful of that. The players have been very upfront about the fact that they're going to need time, and the NHL has acknowledged that. So no matter what the plan is, and if the health officials deem that we're able to continue to play, the player's safety will be first and foremost, and they'll have ample time to get back up and running, and us as a team will do that too. But we also have to do our part now while we can, and take advantage of every day that we have, despite the circumstances. The players have got to do their work to stay fresh and stay strong, and we as a staff have got to be organized. We've got to find greater clarity in what we're trying to do as coaches. We've got to communicate with the players on a regular basis to try to have some conversations that we would normally want to have in person or amongst our team, but we can't. But there's no reason why we can't grow as individuals and as a team during this time, despite the circumstances, and that ultimately is our message.
Well, when you took over the Pembroke Lumber Kings and you won that title back in 2006-07, it had been 18 years since the Kings won a title. It's been a little longer for the Leafs, and of course, Leaf Nation is hoping that you will deliver. So I wish you luck in that pursuit, whether it be this year or in the years ahead. It's always great to see you, and thanks for never forgetting Pembroke, Sheldon.
Absolutely, Jamie. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back on and talking with you, and I certainly will never forget.
Sheldon Keefe, head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, today in conversation with. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.